Hey everybody, what's going on? All right, we're gonna get this together. Listen, today is Straight Talk Edition. We having a wonderful discussion. I got my brothers out here, all the way from Yonkers and Waxhaw. I think Waxhaw is what it made color purple. I'm not sure, but we're gonna get that. We're gonna make sure we get that clear. So what I need you to do is like and share. We're gonna have some conversation. Recently, that there was a feud between Shannon Sharp and Dr. Umar, who was a Pan-African freedom fighter, and with Shannon Sharp about Bronny James going to prom. Then we're going to talk about this pastor that asked all of the Democrats in his church to get out of there. He was not for them. So we got an interesting topic today. We have some brothers that's very intellectual, understands the game of life, successful, family, business oriented. They're my brothers, Dr. James Hassel and Dante Jackson. He's going to be one of our guests today. So before I go on, we are on Bishop Amir May Likes page. We are also on my public page, Bishop Amir May. We're on the Abundant Faith page and YouTube. And we're on YouTube as well. Out of Amir May. So go ahead and like and share, chime on in, get in there so you can really dialogue with us. And let's there is an issue, there's a problem, and we want to discuss this problem today as it relates to the critical race theory. Is that such a thing, or does it exist? And if so, how can we debunk it or dismantle it, and what can we do to go on from here? All right, so let me go ahead and get you in there. I hope it's the women's convention. Clark, do I look like a woman? No, it's the women's convention. Don't be asking about my Orlando. Was my mother and wife there? What you mean, am I in Orlando? No, I'm at home. But nevertheless, you all like and share. We're going to get into it. Let me bring my brothers on. They are here. Dr. Hassel.
Yo.
He's a bad man. He's bad.
What's up, Bishop?
From the yo.
Yo.
What's up,
yo,
man?
yo. What up?
What's up? You
hey,
all?
I can't believe you want to talk about Umar the Crook Johnson. I
no,
said,
why you want to call him
Umar? Umar. He the only dude I know that went from being a clean-cut, clean-faced dude to being broke to having a hustle on Pan-Africanism. He's been raising money. He's been raising money for a school for like 10 years. They ain't open shit yet. I'm sorry, ain't open nothing yet. I'm sorry, I forgot we ain't on the deacon board. You know,
like, yo, Dante coming out the box.
We didn't even introduce y'all. Y'all didn't even went forth yet.
Man, they know who I am.
We need you all to like and share. We need to get these numbers. I know it is some of your day at work, you're working. But what we're going to do, we're going to look at a couple of videos that let's dive into this pastor who said that if you are a Democrat, you cannot and you will not belong to his church. You will not, and you will not be a Democrat going to his church because and I want to ask you all this question. Do you think he was taken out of context, what he said, because he is a white pastor? All right? I want you all to keep that in mind. Do you think or was he just straight up racist? Or was he just was he a Christian apologist? Was he defending the gospel? Let's look at it real quickly. And I'm sure Dante's ready to pull the trigger. He's ready to pull. He ready. He just came out shooting. So let's look at it.
You vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon. You can get out, you baby butchering election thief. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. They are God-denying demons that butcher babies and hate this nation. They hate this nation. Get mad all you want to. I don't care if you stand. I don't care if you throw tomatoes, praise God. I'm about to throw a microphone up in his house. CNN can eat my dirty socks. You cannot be a Democrat and a Christian. You cannot. Bunch of devils. I'm sick of it. They want to talk about the insurrection. Let me tell you something. You ain't seen it.
I don't know what's going on. It's really messing up. But did y'all hear any of it?
I heard all
I
of it.
heard it. I heard it. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say this and I'll be quiet. He's playing to his crowd. It's easy to say. It's easy to say that in a friendly environment. It's because he knows who his people are. He understands his audience at his church.
So is he a racist or is he paddling the crowd?
He's
I don't
both.
think
He's
an
both.
idiot. He's an idiot.
Well, Dante seems to think he's not both. Dante's. What do you think, Dante?
I want to know how Dante could jump to the conclusion that he's not racist, not out of his mind, preaching that nonsense from the pulpit. I ain't heard nothing about Jesus, and it's a shame that our country, our religion is politics now.
I mean, I was going to say, I didn't hear him say anything racist in that particular clip. But what I heard him say was very political. He is espousing the political views of himself and the people that are sitting there in that church, based on all the cheers that he got. That he knows his audience, and that's how they feel. The problem is the evangelicals, especially guys like this. They have tried to steal the cadence of the black church for so long that when they do it, they look like boo-boo the fools when they do it. I mean, just my opinion. He's up there ranting and raving like old school preachers, like he's almost in a hoop. And it's like, what are you doing? I thought it was comical to be myself. I thought it was absolutely hysterical. But again, he's playing to his particular crowd.
Base.
Yeah, he's playing to his base.
So then, okay, House, you want to piggyback on that because you said you didn't hear a bit of racism. You didn't hear racism.
Well, okay, so I think that black people have, to their chagrin and to their loss, have been super loyal to the Democratic Party. And so any attack against the Democratic Party is seen as an attack on blackness. And especially since our first black president was a part of that party. But his presidency is what caused this vicious boldness that's in the Republican Party, and it was fueled by the politics of the previous president in Trump. But my issue is that the church has become so partisan that we can't separate the two issues of abortion and same-sex marriage from gun control and white supremacy. That these issues have us so divided that we can't connect as a church. And the fact that we're constantly pushing our political agenda from the pulpits is really it's the cause for why every major mainline denomination and the church in general is reducing to nothing, because people don't want to be a part of that. They can do that without church. They can do that without giving a tithe. They can do that without the obligation of holding up a community of believers together. So if I was going to a church that constantly heard that and I wasn't a pastor, preached that and I wasn't a pastor, why would I come to church? I can just watch Fox News and be good with it.
Well, I mean, that's where he's getting his sermons from anyway. He's taking Fox News talking points anyway in preaching sermons. That's nothing he said was biblical. Everything is off the talking points from Fox News and Drudge Report and places like that.
Right, baby killers. Wait, didn't the baby killing happen in the womb and out the womb last week?
Correct.
I mean, it.
Correct.
But
they have nothing to say about gun control. They have nothing to say about gun control.
Well, let me just say, guns don't kill people. The guns just don't walk up and shoot you. It's retarded people. If that's the case, we need vehicle control.
It's people with ideology. People with bad ideologies kill people. Right?
We can say
they went to a school,
control.
But how ironic was
it? The deaths that the people that died per year for drunken driving or reckless driving. Listen, so there's a theory here. As a African American male, we must teach our children the responsibility of how to handle a gun and teach them our Second Amendment right. We were raised, if we touched daddy's gun, we were going to get beat to death. But the truth of the matter is other races and cultures take their children on hunting trips. They teach them how to utilize a gun. They teach them how to handle a gun, et cetera, et cetera. You know why? Because guns originally was to protect. It was not for Pookie and them to be in the hood using AKs and drive-bys.
So let me say this though.
It was originally to protect property.
My wife just came in.
Oh,
no, go ahead. I'm just gonna say hi.
So let me say this. Let me say.
No,
this.
wait, hold on. Let me.
I heard you. But let me say this. Let me say
Oh, the
this.
brother.
Hey,
Because
I'm trying to mute Dante. So what I'm trying. So the question is not. See, we never. When we look at the foundation of America, when guns were put in our hands, it was not to protect property. It was to protect us from in the hood from getting robbed, shot, and killed. But they were given guns to protect acreage of land and homes and et cetera, et cetera.
Right. I agree with that. Listen. But we're talking about responsible gun ownership.
Right.
If I have to be licensed and pass a test to drive a vehicle, right? I have to. If I have to be, why don't I have to be licensed and pass the same type of test to own a gun? The second part is, and the bigger issue is, there are things that you can't catch by just walking into somewhere and signing my name on something saying, yes, I'm over 18, I can own a gun. And you have no capacity to check if they're mentally capable, if they have some mental issues in their background that should preclude them from owning a gun. If they're going to do something violent, there should be background checks. There are background checks to do everything. Yes. You can't even get TSA pre-check without going through a background check.
Yes.
So why can't that happen with guns?
I believe that you should. I mean, the truth of the matter is, when you're an 18-year-old Caucasian kid, you walk into a gun owner shop, you want an AKA or you want body armor, immediately the FBI should have your name on alert, because history has recorded that you are the criteria. It's like when we walk in the hood,
it's a
get stopped by the
profile.
police. The profile, we get stopped saying you were the criteria. We got a 911 call and you ain't had nothing to do with it, but you look like the same.
But that's not going to happen.
Yes, the
Bishop, it's not going to happen.
More due diligence. The criteria should be due diligent. But the truth of the matter is, we have to learn guns do not kill people. It's irresponsible people.
That's my point of bringing up the shootings, and two more have happened since the one in Texas.
Yes.
They keep happening, and my point of bringing it up is that I didn't hear him preaching with the same power and Holy Ghost fit about the death of those children as he is about the death in the womb, and abortion, the abortion issue, nor have I, or any other injustice for that matter. And again, maybe I haven't heard enough of his messages, but for him to call a group of people who represent over half the country demons, it shows how partisan the church has become, and it's really hurting our witness. And the evangelicals, to me, have lost their way.
Well, you got to understand, American. Okay, let's see. Let's see one more time. We can play it here. Let's see if it.
Bunch of devils. I'm sick of it. Hey, want to talk about the insurrection? You vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon. You can get out, you baby butchering election. Bunch of devils. I'm sick.
I mean, it's funny that he just mentioned baby butchering. That piece right there is
just keep skipping. And then he said, this is what he said at the end. He said, if you don't cut it out, you thought you saw an insurrection in the Capitol. He said, we're going to take and we'll storm that. And he told the FBI and the IRS, we will burn, his speech betraying him, we will burn your papers in your front yard.
Yeah, he did say that. He said he'll give up his not-for-profit, his 501c3. He doesn't care about it. But They don't use it anyway, and it's automatic. It's nobody falls for that. So cut it
No,
out.
burning stuff in the front yard sounds like burning the crops.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm sure he will.
His little dog whistles, and this, beloved, is American Christianity's problem. Is that the demon, the real demon here is white supremacy. The real demon here has to do with rebellion against power and the demonic system of slavery and Jim Crow and inequality that it basically allows a group of people to ride on the back of another group of people and never apologize in the sight of God for doing that. And this is going to haunt our country until there's repentance. And that's the bottom line. When Germany, I always use this point when I'm talking about it, when Germany came out of World War II and had to rebuild itself, they were rebuilding their nation, and they redid their constitution, and they eliminated capital punishment from their laws because they said they've abused it in the past. They cannot be trusted with that power. Part of restitution to the world was to say that we will learn from our past. South Africa, same instance, that there were changes in their laws to show they were committed to righting the wrongs. America refuses to do it, and we're not going to be right until we do it.
So can I address something real quick that's in the chat room or in your comments? So Tangela Green, she said, if black folks understood that the Democratic Party is really not beneficial for them, the better off we'll be. I disagree with that. I disagree with it. And I disagree with it with the caveat, the Republican Party is no good for you either. Neither party is good. Neither party is good for you. You need to be independent in thought. The Republicans have you tricked thinking that they're the Christians of the nation, that they have Christian values, and they don't. The Democrats say, well, we're free thinkers. We care about you. We care about your individual freedoms. They really don't either. It's really about money. It's about money. The trick inside the Beltway, inside DC, inside of 495 in DC, is to get you to believe that there is a difference between the blue and the red.
So let me ask you this question.
Sides.
Why
but
did
it's all about money.
national black preachers protest outside his church?
What national black preachers?
They protested, or you said why didn't they?
Why
Y'all have an organization?
I'm sure, because he said something about burning your papers in the front yard.
Where are these popcorn activists?
Did you go?
Huh?
Did you go?
No. He's in Nashville. I didn't never go. I didn't go up there. But I invited him, and I sent the email to invite him to the church, my church, or asking him to invite me to his church. And to have an intellectual conversation. First of all, tell him, say, you're my disciples by your love, not by your Democratic Party. All right? If any man follow me, let him take up his cross, deny himself, and follow me. That's the criteria of being saved. Romans chapter 10, verse 10, 9 through 8. It's not about... It's not about a Democrat or a Republican.
Right.
All right? It's not about that. And if we know American history, blacks used to be Republicans.
Correct.
We used to be Republicans. And so you said something very interesting, Dante. You said he knew his audience. So in this case, and I'm going to go to the next segment. In this case, would you say President Trump was a racist, or he knew his audience?
We knew he was a racist. I knew he was a racist.
Wait, you say you know he's a racist?
I knew he was a racist going all the way back to 1987 when he railroaded Central Park 5. When he took out a full-page ad and thrown those 5 black boys in jail, wanted to kill them, wanted to give them the death penalty, and he never apologized for it, even though they were found innocent. They spent time in jail and were found innocent, but he would never apologize to them. Yes, he was a friend to those that he could use to get his name out there. He was a friend to the stars and people that had influence in the media, and he thought he could piggyback on them to get his name out there. That's who he is. He's a brand whore. That's who he is. He's a licensing whore. He doesn't own anything. He licenses his name. He owns his name. But he's an opportunist. Mm-hmm. So whatever he could do to get his name out there, to get his brand out there, that's what he did. That's what he does. Sort of like never mind. Go ahead.
I want to read this passage too, because this is actually where my mind went when you asked the question, and I read it in the Message Bible, It's actually Galatians 5:19. It talks about the fruit of the flesh, but I like how Eugene Peterson put this. He says it's obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex, a stinking accumulation of mental and emotional garbage, frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness, trinket gods, magic show religion, paranoid loneliness, cutthroat competition, all-consuming yet never satisfied wants, a brutal temper, and impotence to love or be loved, divided homes, divided lives, small-minded and lopsided pursuits. And this one, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival. This is proof that the flesh is at work.
The flesh is at work in the church and is running rape, is running rampant
on both sides. And we have to be humbled.
So I'm gonna get deeper. As straight talk, I'm not a racist. I got good friends, white people, Jews, all over aspects. You can't say all of none. You can't say all white people, all black, all Jews. You got to say the nature of. But here it is. Should black people? Just a question to you all, critical thinkers. Should black people even trust the words of a white pastor or a white Christianity? Should we even embrace it? If you know your American history.
I mean,
think about it when you think. Think before you blink. Think about it. Should we trust?
Should you trust the words of any preacher?
Yeah, you can trust two that's on the phone right now. Yeah. Should we check?
I'm not saying it like that. No,
yeah,
I'm not saying it like that.
I'm not saying it like that. Or any broker.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't trust the joke. I wouldn't trust the joke.
I would trust all the preachers now.
I would trust. What I'm saying is, you would have to trust.
You not ask a question on top of.
You would have to trust but verify, right? You have to have your own relationship with God. You have to read the Bible and study yourself. You have to study for yourself. So what do you?
Y'all always want to take a quick jab at the preacher.
I was not taking a jab. I'm talking about anybody. Would you trust anybody?
Do they always? They always.
I mean, we're used to it. You know, and we all try to be true. We try to be true to our calling.
Right.
Should I? And I can't across the board say don't trust someone whose skin lacks melanin, because I think there are some sincere, God-seeking preachers of the lighter persuasion that do have truth in them, and there are and I think that truth has to be filtered. Well, I don't say truth filtered, but their words have to be filtered through your knowledge of the truth. Meaning that I don't take everything that anyone says as true. I have to check it. And so, like Don said, that you trust but you verify. But that's all preachers.
Forget preachers. It's everybody. It's everybody.
My brokers, my attorneys.
Regardless of your.
You New Yorkers got a way of twisting words. You're very intellectually inclined.
No, that ain't. See what you just did was make New Yorkers seem like we're not honest.
You New Yorkers are very open-minded, and you're very forthright. But you all do know that, and but the truth of the matter is, here it is.
He said you New Yorkers.
Y'all something else. You New Yorkers.
All right, so okay, let me pull it back to where you were going. Historically, all right. So historically, white American preachers have used the gospel as a way to subvert and to cause a whole group of people to be under their power. And therefore, until I know they've been reformed and been in recovery long enough from white supremacy, I will not submit to their preaching.
I can honestly say that. You know, there's a prominent church right around the corner from me. He got 15 churches in Charlotte, and his main campus is right around the corner from my house. Elevation, right? I won't go there. I won't go sit underneath there. I can't do it. I can't. I just can't do it.
The gospel.
Nah, I can't do it.
Yo, how he baiting us? He baiting us into.
And then
he gonna say he preaching the gospel. Nah, you can't have it both ways, Bishop. You can't say we skirted the issue.
What he's doing, he's speaking words out of a book, but when you uncover the back of it, what do you see? You see them, with the music. You see them with, the black people up there with the music. But
Cultural appropriation.
I see the appropriation of our culture. But if you look at the administrative roles there, do you see, and I don't know this because I don't go there, but do you see us running the business of the church? Do you see them doing anything? Do you see us doing anything for the communities?
What you're saying to me is that at these churches such as Elevation, that black people are the help. They're the greeters.
Exactly.
They're the greeters.
We create the atmosphere. We create the atmosphere, but we don't get to enjoy the fruits.
I'm just asking a question. Is that what you're saying, Dante? I want to be clear.
Yeah, nigga,
don't stutter.
Because I'm trying to control what I say. Because I'm on your broadcast. I'm on your broadcast. I'm trying to be cool on your page, yo. What I'm saying is this. Unless you can show me that you're actually doing something for us, and that we're actually in not just to help out front where the people can see, because that's what you want to show as you're multicultural, but behind the scenes, if we don't have the same responsibilities behind the scenes, you're front. You're putting on a good front.
There is no multicultural churches. There's multi-ethnicities. But the culture of the churches remain the same.
Yeah, they got to pick one culture.
You can't pick multicultural.
Yeah, you can't?
No.
I've not seen it.
No. You can be multi-ethnic, but you're not multicultural.
What's our culture? What's our culture?
Our black culture, we have a black culture.
Do we? Because it's been co-opted. Because you can't tell right now. You can't tell because a lot of y'all got smoke machines. A lot of churches now have smoke machines and singing slow music with guitars on the.
Except the church that had the couple.
Boning on the stage.
Yeah, on the stage, so that they could have blessed seed. They had all the lights on, no smoke machines.
There was no smoke machines. They were on stage.
So let me ask you all this question. Both of you are my brothers. You're African with melanin. Your wives are beautiful. How many, I'm just asking a question. In America, let's poll, how many, we're talking about critical race theory there. Do you believe that Caucasian men, maybe I should ask one of my Caucasian brothers to get on, do you think Caucasian men embed in their children that black people or black men are less than? Do you think they have been doctrinized to make us think we're less than? Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of this, our children really don't care as much as we care. So the question is, are we going to move forward, or are we going to continue to be traumatized by our past? We're traumatized. We're traumatized with the police.
I think that your question, it begs a little more than just, do they actively, intentionally, consciously teach their children that they are superior and that others are inferior? Because I think that they do it more by refusing to change systems that suggest that.
Stop right there. That's my point. So you see, in the system of Christianity, I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in Christianity. Jesus wasn't a Christian. So the question is, that's him looking like, what did he just say? The research. He's a theologian. He understands what I'm saying.
I don't agree, but I understand.
I know you don't agree, but that's all right.
It's cool. I mean, you Amir, you can say what you want.
I'm a disciple of Christ. Jesus not
absolutely.
A disciple of discipline, not a Christian whom they mock from a name. Jesus ain't never tell me to be a Christian. You show me the Bible where he said be a Christian. So the question is this: why isn't a black man in America? You can't name me 3 major churches or any churches where black men and a black wife leads a predominantly all-white congregation. Why?
I think we both
all
know.
Christians.
I think we all know that this is the issue. And when they tried, there was massive pushback, and the culture of the church couldn't handle it. I think the young brother who they gave the reins to, the one who spit on his brother on the pulpit.
Mike, yeah, his cousin. I am Todd. Todd, yeah.
That's your cousin? That's your cousin, Don?
Yeah.
Anyhow, so they tried with him. It doesn't work often. When it does, it's usually not an But let me say this. And when it does work, it's usually not an African American. It's usually a foreigner who has melanin.
Interracial. Okay, yeah. So and that's good, and I appreciate that. Interracial.
You know who I want to.
But the question is, why don't they? We got to ask,
because they can't submit. I mean, I think they can't submit to a black man. This is what happened at Azusa. And let me say this, Don, before you do that. That when in Azusa, the Lord chose to birth the Pentecostal movement using the leadership of a young black man. And he had to put a box over his head in order to stay focused in the service. There was Chinese, there was Mexicans, there was whites, there was black. And the movement was growing at Azusa. And the reporter came to the meeting, saw the power of God moving, and then reported that it was a violation of Jim Crow. This is what broke the 3-year revival that God had birthed there. I believe it was God's intent to show the nation that if they would submit to the authority that he put in place in that black man, he could have changed our country. And the Assemblies of God, Church of God in Christ, all of them came out of that, but they split because they could not submit to Mason. They could not submit to William Seymour. Parham and all them people they could not see how submitting to a black man in this country was going to benefit the church. It has happened over and over, and it's the reason why our country hasn't been healed.
Right.
It starts in the church.
I wonder, and I would like to have a conversation with Derwin Gray. He pastors Transformation Church here in Indian Land, right? Not far from here, right outside of Charlotte. Matter of fact, his church is not far.
The football player. You showed me his church.
Football player. Yeah, yeah, he's a football player, and he's a black man, and he's managed to have a multicultural church, a multi-race church. So he has blacks and whites in there. And I was trying to figure, and white men, because, it's very hard for white men to submit to black men. I want to know how he figured that out, because we don't see that often. We'll see more white women come, spatters of white women come to a black church, but we hardly ever see white men do that. So I want to see how he was able to kind of bridge that with his congregation. So let me ask you this
question then, Dante. You're from the corporate American world, and Jay, let me ask you this. Why do we see a mass? I think the choosing of a church is the same thing that happens with our people with the choosing of the Gucci, the Louis, the Mercedes, and everything else. I think it is a sense of belonging. I belong here. I drive this. I wear these kind of glasses. I have this. We are the biggest consumers in the world. Do y'all agree with that? Mm-hmm. We are the biggest consumers of what, and it brings a self-entitlement. The American Negro is
relative to our productivity, right, that we don't consume more than other races, but right, in relative to our productivity, we are more consumer than we are productive.
That's right.
Correct.
And so we choose these churches, and that's their choice. But why do you see so many of our people, particularly people like Dante, educated, financial status, et cetera, or feel they have arrived, go to these other churches besides ours?
Well, I can tell you one thing. One of the things that, and I'm going to touch on something that Tangela said, because she believes that Fred Price was accepted by white people, and he really wasn't.
No,
he was not accepted by white people at all. You thought that. But if you know where his church was in Los Angeles, he had a black
in
congregation.
Crenshaw. Yeah,
in Crenshaw. And white folks were not going to Crenshaw.
Right.
Now you may have seen him on TBN and other places, but it wasn't. It was black people.
But the other part of that was he didn't pander to the black culture though. He didn't hoop. He didn't do any of that. So it looked like it appeared that
he was safe.
And so he was
until
safe.
Until he started on his racial inequality sermon series. Mm-hmm. That's when you knew. Ooh, wait a second.
That's when he suffered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he suffered.
Yes. He had a mass exodus.
Okay, I didn't know that because I thought
his
he was.
Book sales were supported by whites. His televangelists were supported by whites, and when he began to teach that, all of that crumbled.
Interesting. I didn't know that. So getting back to your point, a lot of people.
We're not allowed to talk about the justice of our people.
No. I was going to say a lot of
not
people.
Here.
Amir, one of the things that you asked. But how do people choose churches? A lot of people choose the church based on the proximity of their home. So it is true. It is true. That's why. Listen. When you live in certain areas, I do. I know I do. I know I do. I know most people do. Most people go to a church that's within a good 10 to 15 minutes of where they live. That's why when churches move out of the community, most of the time they suffer and the church doesn't look like it used to look before. I have a perfect example. I don't want to name no names of the organization, but we know of a church up in New York that moved from in the city and moved out kind of into the suburbs, and their membership gone.
Let me tell you something why I don't believe that's true. As being blessed to travel all over the world, I minister to these churches. West Angeles is on Crenshaw.
It is.
And everybody drives to West Angeles from everywhere.
Right. But the difference is this. West Angeles is on Crenshaw near Baldwin Hills. Hold on.
We know the blood territory.
Hold on a second. It's also near other black enclaves where the black rich and elite live. It is.
Coming from Baldwin Hills.
But Amir, it is. You know where you know in Baldwin Hills and right in Ladera Heights. That's where
blood territory. I know you're talking Magic Theater, all that. I don't know. Yeah. But what I'm saying is those members are not at West Angeles Cathedral because the parking lot says different.
But that was also the cathedral and personality-driven ministry.
Yes.
And so there are other factors that cause us to choose ourselves. But when we choose other cultures, when we choose the leadership from outside of our own community, many times it's a statement saying, I don't want to be in church all day. I don't feel like dealing with the antics. I really want to go in and just worship God. I like that they turn the lights out.
Okay, pause right there. Everything you just said was true, but we got to dissect it. Let's start with the first one. I don't like to deal with the antics. Stop right there. Where do you think this fall came from?
That came from Azusa.
Not that fall. This fall came from Taylor Reynolds. This one, where
you stupid.
The ice smoke came from. We're talking about antics.
I'm saying, but to them, that's atmosphere.
That's atmosphere.
They want to beam and dog out black preachers. But let me just say this. If it weren't for black preachers, most of us would not be able to walk in the store and do all the things we do and have the freedom and liberties that we have today. So we have the tradition and the foundation, but we must build upon it. But we have to stop equating hooping because somebody hoop as though they're ignorant or they teach or they.
But some people believe that. At my church, I got about 40% of my church that if I ever hoop, they'd be like, Pastor, what was that about?
See, let me tell you about. Well, the Bible says that Jesus. John the Baptist taught in the wilderness and they heard all the way in the city. Then the Bible said that Jesus talked to the multitude and they heard it. So Jesus was lifting his voice, obviously.
Oh, I get it.
But then it said, lift up your voice like a trumpet. So nothing's wrong with hooping or exciting after you have instruct.
It's not the complaint. That's not the complaint.
That's not the complaint. Go ahead. What's the complaint, Haskell?
The complaint is if you haven't given substance.
Right. Substance. If it's substance. But this is what I'm trying to tell you. We can't say what, because I can say that's too boring for me to be. I don't want to go to sleep when you're preaching about a living word. Your word sounds dead.
Well, let me say this real quick.
No,
I pick my
that goes
churches.
both ways.
I pick my churches. If you don't have a B3 and a drum set in your church, a real drum set in your church, I'm not coming.
Oh, well, we know.
At least a minimum of
So
B3. If you
here's
ain't got no
my thing.
B3, I'm not coming in.
Here's my thing. What we should be saying, I don't want to follow a leader that's not full of the Holy Ghost.
Okay.
And even that is relative.
Okay.
It's relevant. Yeah, right.
Well,
That's
let me
why
tell
I
you
kinda,
something.
yeah.
Because I know we
Some
want
of them
to be
niggas ain't.
structured. I know
Some of them niggas ain't full of the Holy Ghost. They full of the Holy Guest.
No,
They ain't got no Holy Ghost.
Dante,
They
I'm
got no
trying to
Holy
teach you
Ghost.
something so you can learn. I know bullshit etiquettes. I know you should not go through 2-3 feet to the left or right, backwards from. You should mount the podium, only lift one hand up at a time in public speaking. I understand all that kind of stuff. But my point in telling you this is that it is a shame that we feel that we have to lay down our Pentecostal experience for others to embrace us. But then others take our Pentecostal experience and build their churches.
It's cultural appropriation, and it's inappropriate culture.
Rod Parsley has the baddest B3 organist in the land, one of them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is saying this, what is wrong with our people?
We don't like ourselves.
That's it.
Well, we know that.
No, we don't. We don't like ourselves. Did you hear about the ice story? The man was selling ice. He said, "No, I ain't gonna buy your ice. I'm gonna buy Mr. Tom's ice because Mr. Tom's ice is colder." So I'm asking you, and I love everybody, I do, but I do have a real serious problem when I see black men take their black families to others that have oppressed us. I ain't gonna lie. And the bishop I partner with is white, and he know that, and he's a wonderful man. I love him. But the truth of the matter is, I have a serious problem with that. Because number one, we're not in the administrative wing, and can we tell the truth without people saying we prejudiced? And why we always got to be prejudiced? And no, I'm sharing the testimony. Mm-hmm. Yes, you would hire Kenya today to sing. You would hire Amani to sing. All right, but Amani has a BA degree in finances. Would you hire him to run your finance?
No, not at all.
My boy can run Elevation's finance. He's capable because he's running corporate America's finance for 3M, and they over all the Home Depots around in America, right? He sits on one of the boards, one of the African. Why can't he run the finances for Elevation?
And I'll say this on the flip side. I'll say this on the flip side, Amir, because I have several churches, and I'm hiring who I want to hire.
No, that ain't what I'm talking about. You can hire for what you want to hire, but no, that ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the culture. You can hire a black organist, a black singer, a black helper, a black greeter, but you mean to tell me no one's qualified to work in your administration?
You're right, and that is at epidemic levels. That we can sing and we can dance for them, we can play on their sports teams, but our credibility outside of that is so low in their eyes that we're only good to create the atmosphere for them to collect the influence.
So I'm just sitting here to challenge anybody that goes to these churches. Be free. If you're free, you want to go, fine. Some people say, well, I only go because of the children ministry. I only go because black people hold church too long. No, all black people don't hold church long.
No, I don't think. I think that we have again. Let's get back to where the churches are located, because we have to stop thinking that all black people.
Pass.
I'm not giving them a pass. I'm giving you a truth.
You are giving a pass.
I'm giving you a truth. When we left a lot of people that live in the suburbs, a lot of people that live in suburban America. Okay, you live close to your church. You don't live that far from your church in Huntersville, right? Think about this. And most of the people that go to your church live in the university area, Huntersville or north of Charlotte. But how many people live on this side of Charlotte where I live at that drive up there weekly for church? Because I'm going to pass 5 churches on my way up, maybe 10 or 20 or 30 before I get up there. So that's why I said you pick your church based on proximity.
Let me just say,
the second thing is,
now the other piece is like abundant faith. None of them.
Okay.
You go to Elevation.
No, I
don't care how many Elevation got. I don't care how many churches in Waxhaw. you ain't gonna get what you get out of abundant faith. I don't care what nobody say. You gonna get the word. You gonna get transparency. You gonna get good singing. You gonna get deliverance and the ministry of Jesus. Some people, listen, we drove to the clubs an hour. We drove hours to the club.
I never did that.
I mean, yeah, you know, we flew planes to get the cocaine. We go get it.
I never did that either. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
If that was possible. Right. Back in the day,
wait a second.
Miles.
Wait a second. Hold on. Let me take a second. We're gonna turn this to an episode of the Deacon Report. So Amir, you mean to tell me that you were flying on planes to go get cocaine?
Huh?
We're gonna turn this to an episode of Deacon Board.
Were you quoted a rap? That was a rap.
Oh, is that what you were doing? Because I was asking.
I don't even know what cocaine looked like.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. I was like, wait a second now.
I don't even know what cocaine is. Listen, what I'm saying to you. So what it sounds to you? It sounds like you're a black Republican. You sound like a house nigga.
But the people in the comments are saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing. You should be able to worship in your community.
You sound like a house Negro because Shaquita, who has 3 kids, that's single, you know she can't afford where you live. You know she can't afford where you live and don't have the same opportunities that you have. So now you meant to tell me she doesn't deserve to have the Church of Excellence because she's in the hood? Or,
wait a second. What makes you think that? What makes you think that you're the only? Wait a second. Wait. What makes you think that your church is the only Church of Excellence, Negro? See, that's half the problem. So there could be other excellent churches. There could be other excellent. I didn't say. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying that
bad bougie house Negro mentality.
How?
I know I ain't the one, but I'm telling you. Stop trying to act like the only
first
church
of all,
in their community. Man, are you kidding me?
We ain't having no conversation.
Y'all stop saying black church like y'all want to demonize black church. But the black church is the only one gonna help pay you and your mama's light bill, to help preach you out, go get Pookie in jail, go protest when the police shoot them. What other white churches doing it?
Listen. I know this much. Not many black churches do it either. Now I know the two of you up here do it. I know the two of you up here do it. Shut up.
No, let me break it down.
Shut up, Bishop.
I'm not against elevation. If elevation is preaching Jesus, I'm for Steve Furtick. I've never met him, so I can't demonize him. But I can say this to you preachers, the pastors that's out there. I'm from Michigan. I ain't from Charlotte, so I come to stir up the city and the whole region. It is egregious to try to compare elevation and what they do to a church like mine. You know how my church was birthed out? Out of my pockets. You know how elevation was birthed out? Foursquare gave them $500,000 to start with. Now, what black organizations are helping their black churches and their black community to start these churches, to become institutions, to be able to embellish the ministry? We get it out the mud. So you can't talk about it. You can't compare it. Most churches, you just see, I just went with my brother. He preached that church out. He got it out the mud. Didn't nobody hand him, oh, here you go, Hassel. Here's $500,000 with me budget. Don't worry about paying us. So, it's behind it. It goes back to what he said. We don't like ourselves.
Right, but here's the thing.
7 churches Sunday morning with 7 members instead of joining together collectively.
But why won't we?
Trying to build our community.
But why won't we? Why won't we? So here's the question that I pose. Why is it that we can have 18 churches with 18 members each with no power? Who's going to be the person to make the first move to say, you know what, we're better together than apart? Who can be the first person to do that?
That's a real question.
He has the only decorum. This man over here has the poise and decorum to do it. I'm an Elijah. I'm a prophet. They ain't gonna like what I said.
So I think that part of the issue is economics.
Right.
That many of these pastors need the pastor because it's the only way that they're going to be able to feed themselves
and survive.
But why? But okay, so here's the next question. Here's the next question. This is a real question. Why do a lot of guys, man, and I'm saying it, look, I'm being very transparent. I know a lot of guys that are pastors and preachers, and a lot of guys that are starting ministries and starting churches, and they have no membership, but they want to be quote unquote full time. You need to have a full time. You need to have a full time job, and stop living off the.
Yeah, you can't eat. You can't eat the seed and while you're planting it. And
Correct.
so
Well,
having
that's in
support for your
business
ministry.
economies anyway. Anything for the first 5 years, you won't prosper off of it.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you
So you
birth a
can't eat,
business
you
or
can't
church,
eat from that thing.
you can't eat from that.
It is. But we have so much. There's so much competition amongst churches for members. You're taking my member. Why are my members going over this one, that one? They're not your members. I mean, I never understood that concept. Even when we grew up, there were 5 churches on within a daggone mile
Dante,
radius.
can I admit this to you
For
all?
what?
Black people, can I just be honest? We are traumatized, bro. And until we get some real therapy, we're going to continue in this vein. We are traumatized. We don't even, first of all, even when it comes to Caucasians, which many Caucasians are my brothers, and I got a lot of black preachers, that's my enemies that don't like me. So I'm not saying it because I'm prejudiced. I'm saying this because it's 100. The truth of the matter is, black folks, some, not all, the reason they struggle to pay tithes because they don't even understand financial literacy. No one even taught them how to handle a checkbook. No one even told them about how 401k started and it's really a scam, and no one told them that you should put your money in your life insurance and borrow against it. No one talked about credit. You know that. They taught us to wear a black suit, dress up, get you some Gators, boy, and we thought it was successful. We bought a building. Again, it goes to self-entitlement, things, material. You should not buy a building, you only got 20 members. You should be having house church. No, I'm serious. But nobody's telling you, why are you going to start a church and I'm looking for a building? It's just you and your wife. Caucasians, you know what they do? When they start, they collaborate, they have a team. And they invest in that team, pray for that community, go and sow there and stay there for at least 2 years before they even launch a church. We get a church and try to get it out of our pocket. So I'm starting a building, Doc, look at my building. We got big sanctuaries with no classrooms, big sanctuaries with no gymnasium, big sanctuaries with no kingdom principles that we can impact our community Monday through Saturday. All right? And so we do not understand volunteering. We don't understand volunteering. We want to get paid. We don't understand.
So of course,
nothing about
I have to disagree, because of the fact that we're talking about all of us. Because I started a church and had great success. Yeah, it's not a blanket thing, but I think culturally there's some things about how we operate because of the trauma.
Right.
There's a book by Joy DeGruy. It's called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And she talks about the effect of any people who have been touched by an oppressive system, that it's not the melanin, it's actually in their mentality. It's ingrained in their thinking and the way they operate from a position of lack and a position of despair is because that's what they've been trained to. And you can have a tribe right next to them who haven't been touched by it, who operate differently. And our pastors move in, many of us, under the influence of the system we were born into, and we don't understand how to prepare a city for ministry, how to prepare a ministry for a city. And we're led by God. I believe God is telling them to do it, but there is an ignorance to it, and they need training. They need direction.
God told them.
I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Half of these people, I don't think God talking to them. Many churches,
I would hope they would.
Could you admit this? Not all, but can we admit that a lot of churches will birth out, particularly, now let me just say this, because both of us got different backgrounds, so the backgrounds does matter. Mm-hmm. The Baptists and the Pentecostals move a little different. Baptist people are more studious as it relates to the basic systems or the basic principles of Christianity. Pentecostals are well. The truth of the matter is, Baptist people, they're going to pay their dues, their tithe. But in fact, you don't see a lot of Baptist people church hopping. In fact, they would get rid of their pastor before they leave their church. And so,
that is true. That is very true. That is very true.
Pentecostals, the Lord said that my season is up. The Lord said my time is up. The Lord said it's time to me move on. And usually the Lord talks to them after they've been corrected or they've been wounded or they've been rejected or they did not get promoted. It's the same old trend. And so they go start something out of season. So I agree with you in part that the Lord is talking to them. But because the Lord tells you you're called to pastor doesn't mean in 2022.
Not
it could
now.
be in 2025.
Yeah.
But because we are so emotional, you know, we know we're emotionally undisciplined. And because we're so emotional, we go out and start a church.
So Vanessa McDonald asked a question in here, and I'm going to answer it real quick. The answer is absolutely not, because I'm not either. She wants to know if this conversation is for bishops and pastors or leading ministers only. And I just have
I'm sorry. My leaning is to leaders, and so I apologize if I've in any way made people not feel like.
But you do have. So let me say this: Hassel, Bishop Doctor, because he has a earned doctorate, is a bishop. He is an apostle, and he has churches. And he's the presiding prelate of an organization that has 9 churches, just like Amir May is a bishop, is a bishop-elect.
No, bishop.
He's a bishop, and then you have something.
I ain't with that foolishness.
All right,
just
so
like basketball.
Whatever that other thing
is. The bishopric away.
You can't take it away.
Y'all crazy.
We with you, man.
We with you. I'm with you. I agree.
We were trying to be correct so that nobody.
Okay,
all right. Then it is what it is.
We get shot down by the police in this mass.
I want you to have no smoke. I don't want you to have no smoke from your people.
Y'all can take the bishop name. Just call me Amir. And let my
but so he's up here and he has churches up underneath him with his organization, and so they're both smart guys. They're both smart guys, and they come from different backgrounds. Like you said, Amir is 5th generation Kojic. Hassel is
what is this? That's Vanessa.
But I'm saying you're 5th generation Kojic.
Why are you explaining Vanessa? We all got the same spiritual father. She know what we
But I'm saying I'm explaining Hassel comes from the Baptist tradition. and the Pentecostal
Hassel's ring big as a whole church in itself.
I'm sorry, I gotta take it off.
Yo, let me tell you something. Yo, Amir, he flashed that thing on screen the other day. I was like, yo, nigga, that ring is so huge.
It's way too big.
Yeah, that ring is throw my ring away. So let's dig a little deeper.
Abundant Faith, y'all need to go ahead and get y'all some gold melted down. Give y'all old gold to y'all pastor, so he can go get him a nice bishop ring.
I turn my ring around. My grandma.
Yo, man, funny. Man, funny. I gotta grow into the ring. I gotta grow up to it.
So we understand, and then that kind of stuff right there, it goes back to a sense of belonging. We got young guys that's apostles and bishops. You don't see that in other cultures, people. I'm tired. You don't see it.
And we put up with it.
Everybody wants to be in charge. Everybody wants to be in charge, and that's part of the issue. I think in our culture, everybody has to be in charge, and everybody wants a title. But with the title comes responsibility. So if you're only responsible for yourself, then what are you leading? Who are you really leading? I mean, you're a bishop with no church, with no members.
You know what I need? I need y'all to tag somebody. This is what we need to hear from. We need to know the truth, and then I'm just not going to beat up on people that go to white churches. I'm going to talk to us black folks. We need to adjust ourselves. We need a harsh reality too. So I need somebody to tag somebody named that goes to a Caucasian church, and we want to talk to them.
I'm not doing that.
I like what Jason Nelson posted this morning.
What did Jason Nelson post?
Hold on a second. He says, concerning gospel music, I still believe in the call to write, produce, sing gospel music in all of its various forms and iterations. In pursuit of popularity, however, some of those who represent the gospel in music and its culture have fallen away from the sound for the sake of sales. We are no longer creating a new sound or dynamic in the earth for the sake of chasing a genre or feel. The CCM feel isn't the only expression of music that heaven hears. We must go back to the heart of God to facilitate heaven's sound on earth. Sales can't be the prevailing determining factor when we write any more than a radio hit can. He says many have decided or are deciding to alter their Oh yeah, many have decided or are deciding to alter their approach for the sake of sustainability. Is that your assignment, or did we tire of waiting on God to open the correct door? I pray that our hearts be resensitized to the heart of God and the cadence of his heartbeat. Popularity in many ways is the antithesis of spiritual assignment. It may come as a result of obedience or great marketing. Let's make sure our motives mirror God's intent for our lives. I still believe things are in store for those who sing and represent the gospel community.
So is there a sound? So, if that's the case, we need to say that about preaching too.
Is there a sound?
Is there a black sound, or is there a sound from heaven?
I think that our cultural.
Should it be a black sound, or should it be a sound from heaven? This weekend, and I'm gonna let you go. This weekend was a sound from heaven. It wasn't a black sound, and it sounded like a mighty rushing wind. So, what sound are we really looking for?
I think if I took that text, even Acts chapter 2, the sound from heaven actually came in the voice of Galileans speaking the language which is part of the culture of the masses and of many nations, and that those nations would not have been included in the move of God if there was not an extension of the Spirit of God to touch their culture in particular. So he didn't make everyone understand Galilean. He made the Galileans speak their language. That the black sound.
I set you up preaching.
I'm saying our culture is the vehicle through which God communicates the gospel to us. And that our music, this is what Tudor Bismarck said. He says our music carries with it the sonic ingredients and rhythms of our language, so that the message of God can be spoken to us particularly. That every culture, this is so powerful, every culture's music matches the rhythm of their speech gate. That I'll give you a perfect example, a low-hanging example. I'm a musician, so you can follow how this makes sense to me. Biggie Smalls, he basically, all of his rhymes was at the rhythm of his name.
Right.
That his gait in speech determines the
Go ahead,
rhythm.
New Yorkers.
Yeah, his gait in speech, it determined the rhythm of his song, and therefore our music must match our speech rhythm, or it does not resonate for us. And if it can't resonate for us, then we can never get delivered from music that doesn't belong to our culture.
Wow.
So with that being said,
wow.
That is powerful, and that y'all tag 7 musicians that want to check but don't want to study. Y'all need to hear what he just said there. That was very powerful. So would you say that God himself in the Old Testament scripture, does God call one from amongst his people? Why did God choose one from amongst his people to lead his people?
Because they spoke the language, they understood the culture, and even when Saul was troubled by a demonic spirit, he didn't call a musician from another nation. He called David, who understood the sound that was needed to bring deliverance for him.
That's right. That's right. Because technically, and don't get me wrong, and I'm just saying this, and I'm not against it. My son he does all that. But technically, some of these songs y'all sing, that some people sing, is corny to me. It don't touch the flesh.
Oh, I had no feel. CCM
don't even touch the
It don't even touch the flesh. I mean, it's so corny, man. I mean, like, I'm out here struggling, and that just don't get me. Because they're doing
what they think is popular. This song has no power. These CCM songs have no power. I don't care.
Not for you, and that's the thing.
For me.
Not for you, because culturally it doesn't scratch your itch.
I want to go see Kirk Franklin in Maverick City, but I only want to see Kirk Franklin. So if I get the show run to find out when Kirk's performing, that's when I'll show up. I don't want to see no CCM nonsense.
Now, we can't demonize CCM music because that's not our experience. And our children will appreciate it. Our children would not appreciate it.
Oh, but they could strike a good run in the middle of one of their songs, and you'll feel that thing.
You'll feel it.
You'll feel it, but if I buy the record and I've done it, I bought the records and go, this is not. It just.
It don't.
It's not for everybody.
It's not.
Not the whole record.
And everybody.
Death to CCM.
They want to force it in our culture.
Right.
And the thing is this is that the executives.
I want to say this, because you've been passing the longest. I want to say this. We don't do church in 60 minutes, man. Black folks don't do nothing.
I've tried it. It don't work.
Listen, black folks don't do nothing in 60 minutes but be late. We'll be late 60 minutes, late, like y'all was late today. But we ain't going to do nothing on time. You see what I'm saying?
Wait a second.
Who was late?
No. That 60 minutes don't work for us. Stop it.
Wait. Who was late? Okay, I was just making sure. You busy out here arguing on the internet streets about your wife's ponytail and some bishop looking at her in Orlando. You were distracted.
I wasn't worried about that, man.
I'm saying it was funny.
It was funny. It was absolutely hysterical.
Because I want to. You know why I did that? I just want to show people I'm.
Yo, Carmen says that Kirk got no oil.
What?
She said Kirk got no oil.
Carmen used to smoke weed. Don't pay attention. She's stressed. And kids,
I mean,
she teaches
he may not have Kirk may not have no oil, but he got beats.
Stressed. Don't worry about my sister.
Kirk's music live.
Kids are bad in Detroit. And don't
Kirk's
worry.
music
So
live
here we go.
is
Let's
bumping.
go to the
All right,
next
it's like being
5
at the
o'clock hour. Here it is. Here's the 5 o'clock question. Would you allow your son or daughter to date a Caucasian man? Here it is.
I got you.
A lot safer. So if he brings home a white girl, I should be like, son,
we need to have a conversation.
You shouldn't date her. You should date a black person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't agree with that.
I got you.
On these videos today.
That Bronny Jr.
Right.
And you know, people are criticizing his prom date.
People would rather you be miserable with someone of your own race than you be in love with someone of a different race.
Yeah,
it is
so
utterly ridiculous. I read the comments.
Yeah,
people need to get a life. Let that man be happy. I get it.
I don't know what's wrong with these videos, but
I wouldn't even play them, man. They messing up. Let me say this.
No, I ain't gonna stop so you can.
Bronny was raised. He's raised out in California. Go to a private school with.
Hold on. We're gonna play this.
But Restream may be blocking some of the videos because they're proprietary.
Right. I think that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's what it is because it's proprietary.
I should be like, son,
We need to have a conversation.
you shouldn't date her. You should date a black person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't agree with that.
And let me tell you why.
But let me like mayonnaise now. But when you go to the HBCU,
But envy.
Be the person that said you can do this.
No, you have to be the person because you have to teach your son loyalty to his community. European Jews do it. Arabs do it, Chinese do it, we're the only people who feel anxious and ambivalent about telling our black boys that you better love and marry a black woman. And you know why we feel ambivalent? Because all of us have been conditioned by church envy to be colorblind. We're constantly told over and over again that it is wrong to be for yourself before you are for anyone else.
Little Levin if the whole lump. You know, he didn't have to go there. He did not have to throw off on the church to make his point.
But that's Umar. That's Umar. That's who he is, though.
He's such a clown.
Well, hold on. Here's Shannon.
People would rather you be miserable with someone of your own race than you be in love with someone of a different race. It is so utterly ridiculous. I read the comments. You would need to get a life. Let that man be happy. I get it. But if that's not what brings him joy, if that's not what brings him happiness, who are you to tell him who he should be with? Because it's not of his race.
All right. So here we go. Let's get into it.
All right. So here's my problem.
All right.
I did my whole genealogy on ancestry.com, and I knew it before I did it, but my great grandfather is Irish, right? And this wasn't a slave relationship. He was a banker. He was married to a merchant in St. Kitts, the island, and this merchant woman was from Kazakhstan, and they made a child, and this is where my grandfather came from, and so interracial relationships is not my issue, but I don't want my daughter to be victim of a loveless relationship. And so I would, whoever they marry, I want to make sure that there's real love.
Right.
Now, my mother would have had a conniption if I brought a white woman home. I would not have done it.
I think black and white people alike. Hold on, wait. Real love. I think both black people and white people.
Yonkers, come on.
Right.
All right.
I think we both tell our children to watch out for the other race. I think black people and white people in the beginning. I think they do. I think they do. Now, I also think, before we demonize black fathers, I think black fathers have a right to tell their black sons the way they feel. And the reason they feel that way is because they're traumatized. Because so many of our black men are in their grave and in jail because, as a black man, dating a white woman is different from a black girl dating a white man. Once the father finds out, the story changes. I've had friends, I had people that played ball, that they was in love, but once that father found out, the whole scenario changed. Dad, he raped me. That's the only reason I'm with him, right? So I don't think it's just like they just oblivious to, they don't want them to love them. I think that many fathers are fearful of what can take place.
Since you played a song, I gotta play a song because I agree. But
dating a white woman, but I could be wrong. Dante, what you think?
Pastor, go ahead and play the song.
Okay.
Don't go chase the waterfall. Stick to the river.
What are you saying? So we won't get a copyright.
So I just played it a little, but here's the point: is that I think we train our children to stick to what's familiar and know what works. But sometimes what's familiar is not what works, and then you gotta teach them how to have real relationships.
We know that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I would rather that my son be happy than But let me ask you this question. So we as we go into it, what's wrong? What's wrong with dating in our marriage? With our women? What's wrong with our men marrying our women? Now, the question is the Bronny James situation, right? The question is, as a world influencer as LeBron James is, what message is he sending by allowing his son, or is he sending a message, I should say?
He's not. And let me tell you why. Because Bronny James is in a private school in Sierra Vista, California, in Sierra High, whatever it is. I think Sierra something in California. And that's probably somebody he goes to school with that he's seen every day for the last 3 years he's been there. So he's
I knew you was going to say that. Let me pause you real quick. South Haven, Michigan, we got one high school. We are blocked from West Michigan, the lake of West Michigan. One block. 90% is a Caucasian school. You with me, Dante?
I'm
Guess
listening.
who I went to the prom with?
Who'd you go to the prom with?
Kenya.
Okay. Why'd you go to prom with Kenya?
I was the All-American athlete recruited by
Why'd
400
you go to
schools.
prom with Kenya?
You just no. My point is, you just justified the student ratio of why he took. He can take who he want to take, but you just justified. I'm not really against it or I'm not for it. That's their business. But what I'm
This is all he's thinking about. This is all he's thinking about.
man, stop.
That's all he's thinking about.
What did Stevie Wonder say? He says, "You got jungle fever."
Hysterical. I gone black boy crazy. I gone white girl hate. Wait,
but the truth of the matter, you can love who you want to. Love who
That's
you
the
want
words.
To. Love who you want to.
Absolutely.
But don't just date because it gets the good ratings and it's Hollywood's accepted better for acceptance. Do what your heart tells you to do, but not just for acceptance.
But for a man, you know, the other thing for a boy is that you're in a school and you're as available and as popular as LeBron's son would be. You pick who you want to date, and you want. I mean, she's a good-looking girl, so he picked who he wanted to date in the school. He got a beautiful girl. Are they going to be together forever? I don't know,
Nope.
But it's a prom date.
Right, it's a prom.
LeBron went to a prom date with the white girl. Yeah.
No, he went to prom with
He went to a prom game with a Caucasian girl.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But it could put him in jeopardy in some communities.
As a host to this show, I want to bring up the nuggets
His
and say I want to ask
daddy's a
questions to
billionaire.
everybody.
You know, he can go to hell. He can go to prom who he want to go with. His
No,
daddy's
he
a
can't go to prom
billionaire.
with everybody because
He's a billionaire.
No, wait a minute. He can't go where he wanted with because now you just reduce women down. Some women
No,
don't
he
care about your
didn't.
money.
No, he didn't.
Some
No,
women
we gotta
don't care
stop
about
that.
your money.
We gotta stop that. Hey, yo, well, watch this. If he
Certain
wasn't
women
Bronny
don't care
James,
about your money.
if he wasn't Bronny James, he may not even get a date from anyone.
Goes back to it. Certain women don't care about your money.
And it's 2022. Them teenagers want that money now.
No, man.
You know, everything is transactional.
Yeah, everything is transactional, Doc. Everything is transactional.
So let me pan to this crowd. What about the sisters? Don't the sisters deserve? Do you know what he could do if he married a sister and they have children together? How that black wealth would be in the community and continue to be in the community.
If she's healed from her trauma, it could be a great thing.
So wait a minute. Here it comes. Here it comes. There it goes. I knew I could get it out. I got it out. So there it goes. Black women are too loud and combative.
Nope, that ain't what I said. I said
Not
if she's healed from her trauma. And because we've been talking about how the black community is traumatized. We've been talking about this all night.
Women is traumatized?
Is that what you're trying to drag me into? I can handle it.
I'm asking.
I'm saying they are equally as traumatized as black men.
But so are they traumatized? Yes or no? I'm trying to get that out.
They are equally as traumatized as black men truly are traumatized.
So let me say this: the black woman has went through a lot of things, socially, physically, in the social spheres, the private spheres, and the spiritual spheres.
Amir be trying to trap you. He trying to trap you. He want the women to jump on you with both feet.
I'm trying to say,
dog.
Because you better be careful, Dante, because you and Tangela always going at it. Y'all gonna need an MFF fight.
Yeah, Tangela seems intelligent. You should bring Tangela on the line right now. I think it would add some.
New York, and she goes off.
That's what I'm talking about. You need a little tension on it.
Let me bring Tangela. She'll come.
I'm trying to figure out what the identity crisis is. See, I mean, we have to stop assigning things to people that aren't theirs. To me,
Dante, what did you just say?
We have to stop assigning things. Assigning an identity crisis.
Black woman is under a crisis.
I said
it. Yeah, but Tangela said that Bronny has an identity crisis, and I'm like, how? Where's that coming from? How's he have an identity crisis?
You know what? You and Tangela can't agree on nothing. This been politics. Y'all, listen. One day y'all gonna agree. Y'all, let me bring her. Every time I had Dante, I usually had Tangela, and I don't know why I didn't get. But now I got her right now.
But to Shannon Sharp's point, the point that Shannon Sharp was making was, he's a kid. It's a prom date. Hassel made the same point. It's a prom date. Nobody said they were even dating. It's just a prom date. Why we read into
Well, no.
everything so much? Why is our culture? Why do
I
we
don't
read
think
into
I
Well,
talked to the
just say
girl
this.
I took to the prom after
say
prom.
this,
We didn't
because
speak.
let me say this. As a star athlete, and
Yo,
as a star athlete, I wasn't on Bronny's level because I didn't have Instagram. But as a star athlete, let me just say this: I'm just being devil advocate on all.
You were just
I can see
you were
it
just
all.
locally popular. You were locally
I
popular.
can see it over. Let me just say, everything you do matters.
You were locally popular. I mean, you were South Haven popular. You were South Haven popular.
I played at the Rutgers. I didn't play it everywhere.
You were locally
the
popular.
National Basketball Association, clown.
What was your name on the Rucker? What was your name on Rucker?
Big AM.
Big AM? Did you play against
Anthony Millers, the Lakers, and all? Man, we came. What did you crazy?
Did you play against Helicopter and
Cadillac and Escalade? You play against
Escalade? That was my man.
Escalade was the guy, but guess what? He got dunked on by me. Escalade was bigger than me, but I dunked on Escalade.
You dunked on Escalade. You dunked on Escalade.
Big
You ain't dunked on
Escalade.
Escalade. You ain't dunked
But he didn't have moves like me. I was a baller ball. He know that. That's why he used to give me money during the college because I couldn't work. So tell Dante to shut up. So he understands these. He understands these things. All right. So Housel has said the black woman is. Okay, we
I said black women are as traumatized as black men are.
Their ass is traumatized, or their ass. I mean, what is
in the same way that black men are traumatized, black women have been.
I didn't know what you were saying. I thought you said.
Tangela, it is a pleasure to meet you.
Tangela is in here.
Hello.
In the box with Dante. Now, Brother Housel's from Yonkers. This your new brother, Dr. Bishop.
Really, you are?
Yes, ma'am.
He's
Me
wonderful.
too.
We're in Yonkers.
They feed you too much in Yonkers. They feed you too much.
South Broadway.
Love it.
I told him I was on a diet, and he had his whole staff.
And Valentine Lane. Valentine Lane was first before
That's
South
where
Broadway.
Jim Bostic lives. That's where Dr. Bostic lives.
On Valentine Lane?
Can you hear me?
145?
No. On this show, let me tell you something. I told him that I was trying to eat healthy. He gonna bring out a strawberry cheesecake and put it in front of me and say, eat this. I had to eat it because the Bible said eat what's before you. So,
right.
And it was good.
And I know it was good
too. It was good.
And it was good.
All right,
it was very good.
Now that y'all have introduced Dante, and my brother feels that the black woman is traumatized. It's just as traumatized.
You don't agree?
So therefore, Bronny should have did.
You mean current day, or like maybe the generation before mine may have a little traumatization? But current day, these women here to me are too, they have drunk the poison of the feminist movement. So they're too prideful, boastful, arrogant. I believe that they're bitter. They hold positions of authority and power that they should not have. And a lot of men are not in position because a bitter woman is holding that position. And white people will give a black woman power and authority because they know that she will emasculate a black man, which keeps him from doing what he's supposed to do.
Where my hoop triggers at?
They will pay them six-figure salaries and all of that because all we have to do is give her money, and the black woman will do our dirty work and falling for it and wonder why they single and bitter. So I mean, at this point, I can't say black women are traumatized. They're paid for their trauma at best.
I'm stunned.
Why?
I'm beside myself.
I just told the truth.
I am speechless.
Is that not the truth?
The truth of it is painful.
It is.
Now wait a minute. Let's back up. So much was said and done. You all are saying the black woman is traumatized?
No, she didn't agree. She didn't agree with me. She didn't. Tangela did not agree with traumatization. She said that that's previous generations. Right now, she says they are arrogant, they are prideful, they are hurtful. Oh, come on! And God said,
drunk the poison of the
feminist movement, which they
now,
have
do you
not.
want, so let me. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you all this question. All you New Yorkers, I need somebody from Michigan. Why haven't you all realized that we are in the new day, that a woman should be able to choose whoever she loves? Love does not have a color.
Well, if her mind ain't right, she won't even know how to choose right. And I thought that a woman has to be chosen. Now she can either accept who chooses her or not, but the relationship is not in the control of a woman. A man has to choose you, or you will never be in a relationship.
Well,
so then the question becomes this: why is he not choosing you? I mean, I'm just listening. Y'all tell me when I was getting to it.
Man, you cannot say, you all cannot say women, black women, you should say some of our sisters who experienced traumatization, because everybody didn't, even black folks, we didn't experience slavery or traumatization.
Well, Patrice said it this way, and I think Patrice is making a point. She says, you know, she's in her sound mind, and she married white, and you know,
she don't even know that there was other forces that pushed her into that decision that was beyond her. She can get mad all she wants, but I'm pretty. If she go deep enough in prayer, she will, because every region has a principality that governs it. It governs the mindset, the way we assimilate.
All right, hold on, it's getting deeper. Wait a minute.
Okay, and there is something deep within her that calls a distastefulness, or I would even say a hatred that's very subtle for someone that looks like her. Period. Okay, that's what calls it. I'm telling you, you could. So people will deny. Oh, well, that's just who I love. No, there's a force bigger than that that's guiding you, you know, into that. And most of the time, people do it because of identity crisis. You can't tell me that it's not identity if I don't relate with a person that looks like me and I don't trust them enough in my life.
Real quick. Hold on. Keep on. I need to charge. Y'all go ahead. Keep going. I need to charge.
So Patrice
and my Holy
says
Ghost is for sure.
that she prayed, her mama prayed, her pastor prayed, and that is not her truth there. But there are forces
so what did
that
God
help us.
reveal was the purpose of her marriage to this man? Because see, God ordains marriages on purpose. So what, through all of that praying and all of that y'all, because she said they prayed, but she didn't say God spoke. So then my question is, what was the purpose behind this union that God gave? That's what I want to know. Because marriage is based on purpose anyway. It's not based on love. It's not based on how I feel. It's about how the purpose of God will be brought about with this relationship with these two people. So
the book of
I want to be happy and I want to love. Well, last time I checked, my marriage ain't based on love. It's based on purpose and covenant and commitment, because I ain't gonna always love you, I ain't gonna like you, and I ain't gonna always want to be around you, but the purpose will survive anything. So y'all agreed and everybody agreed. So what did God say was the purpose of you two being together that he wanted to do in the earth for other people to see, that will cause us to say, I want to be closer to Christ because of the way they operate?
So Joel says
is going to be.
So hold on a second.
Don't put God in it.
So hold on a second. Go ahead, Hassel.
Joel, the book of Joel says, "For wherefore did he make one?" He says, "For God desired a righteous seed." It's really the point of him hooking anybody up, is that it's our first level evangelism, that we create a generation of righteous ones. And so regardless of the color of the skin of your mate, if you're equally yoked, you can produce the purpose of God for your marriage, if that's what God's intent is. Now, she said the Lord connect them so people like you can be quiet. That's what she said.
That's not good enough for me, because if I was unsaved asking that question, she wouldn't be able to lead me to Christ.
You're right. You're right.
She's done already. If you couldn't evangelize me just now based on throwing God into your marriage, then that lets me know your marriage is not centered on Christ, because you should have been able to evangelize me if you feel like I'm in ignorance. That would have changed my mind. That would have caused me to seek further. But if all you can say is so people like you can shut up, then you need to go back to your prayer closet, because that's not even Christ. You couldn't even evangelize.
It's important.
Using your marriage. Well, you couldn't use your marriage to evangelize me, then what purpose is your marriage serving for Christ? If you couldn't use your marriage to evangelize me, to open my eyes,
that's kind of tight, though.
That's something that's wrong.
That's kind of tight.
Let me
though.
just interject here.
That ain't tight. It's right. It's tight, but it's right because I'm sick of folk out here. If your marriage can't bring me closer to Christ, then y'all need to go back to the prayer closet and do something.
Because
if you cannot
I don't think that's the purpose.
You're gonna be off.
Hold on. Their relationship has nothing to do with bringing you closer to
No,
Christ.
she said that God put us together so people like you could shut up. That's what she said. That's not the opportunity to tell me to shut up. That's the opportunity to you.
Okay, I had to mute both of them. Hold on, y'all just hold on. Okay? Just listen to me for just one second. Thank God for the Richard Pryor mute button. Let's get look at this. Every time we do this, I mute Dante and Tangela. It's just like they're good hosts. They're good to have on your panel. Okay, let me just say this. I believe that marriage absolutely has nothing to do with color. It's a wonderful thing. If you want to marry somebody in your race, I believe God doesn't always have an audible voice on who you should marry. I don't remember giving me audible voice concerning Kenya. We started dating at 14. We ended up married. I believe what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. I also believe love has no color. Love has no color. I believe there are some white women that can make you happy. I believe there's some white men, Italian men, Jews, Hebrews that can make you happy.
I can't fry no chicken.
I think your God-given ability as a man or as a woman,
you heard what Dante
the body
said.
of Christ, is to fulfill the message of Genesis.
Did you hear what Dante said?
Huh?
You hear what Dante said?
What did he say?
He said, "She can't fry you no chicken, though."
That's not true. That's not true.
I know white girls that can fry some chicken real good.
Black women can't cook. So let me just say this. And until we can begin to see people as God sees them, we'll never be able to grow. Now, cooking is nothing but a cultural thing. Southern white women can cook.
But who taught them?
No, it ain't no so. Southern white women can cook.
But who taught those Southern white women how to cook? Where did that come from in their culture?
If we get down into it, we would not be this color if it was not some type of Irish or Caucasian running through our blood. My family is a Choctaw Indians. They black. We from the Boosie tribe. Tom Cunningham adopted the Cunninghams, and so then
you from the Boosie tribe.
Patrice says she don't fry chicken. She don't fry chicken because it's not good.
I knew somebody was gonna say that. I knew somebody was gonna jump on
it. Really not good for you.
It's not, boy. We shouldn't eat chicken anyway, but we know chicken tastes good, but we shouldn't eat chicken.
But what I'm saying,
I don't eat that much.
What I'm saying to you, I will.
Now, if you don't fry chicken, you cannot go to my church. You a devil with them Democrats.
Now somebody gonna edit that.
Right. They gonna edit that out. You don't fry chicken.
They gonna post you everywhere.
You're a Democratic devil. You're a Democratic devil if you can't fry chicken.
But listen, this is why we have to come out of the traumatization. Because in this day, it's more proficient. Some of our sons may date a white woman or our daughters.
Who cares if they do?
My son likes them. My son been liking them since he was born. That's just been his.
And the truth of the matter is, Dante and House, I would say Dante is being hypocritical. Because in high school, the black boys like white women because of oral sex. So we got to quit playing like we just.
Where did you say that?
Yeah,
no, he didn't turn his camera off on that one, did he?
What are you talking about?
Just straight talk. Don't act like it is.
What are you talking about? Where's the fade to black at?
Huh?
Where's the fade to black at? What are you talking about?
And so that was the talk back in high school.
Y'all know it was true.
But yeah, they know it's true.
I never dated him. Never did it.
You never got oral sex from a. Come on now.
Yeah.
No, never.
So what I'm saying is, if a person chooses to be married, it's not always about spooky Jesus that the Lord told me to do this. The Lord told me don't do this. So let's go back to the question, Tangela. Was LeBron James wrong for allowing did he put his son at risk when he allowed it? Think about history. Think about you got this black athlete. All she had to say is, the American story. He raped me. Oh, he tried to say no. So is that why black people are coming? Are they really speaking out of fear that he shouldn't date her, or are they really just being prejudiced?
They are not speaking out of fear of anything. They are speaking out of pain, because it is painful for a black woman or a black mother to watch a successful black man go be with a white woman when we relate to their struggle more than anybody else, right? Because the history is black women in slavery had to endure watching their husbands be beat and all of this, and then they would turn on us and go somewhere else. However, black women don't understand is that they're still taking and running with that same mentality, to where most black men, they love black women but don't trust them. So they're screaming from that place,
Are
right?
they really? Are they really? I mean, in 2022, are they really
They're
screaming
screaming
from
from the
that
place
place?
of, because it
Are
wasn't
they?
their daughter, and they know that, that they got
Nah.
money. I
Let me
don't
tell
even
you
think
something.
it's the right thing.
That's the place where they're screaming from.
Right, that man is not
That
their
right there.
daughter because it's
It's
about
not
the
from no
money.
pain. It is. What about my daughter? What's wrong? Why is my daughter not good enough? You know, they ain't screaming from no place of hurt and pain. No, because if that's the case, we're screaming from hurt and pain also from looking at Kamala and the new Supreme Court justice, who are both married to successful. They're both successful black women married
And
to
I don't
white men.
trust neither one of those so-called black women. So
I don't know why not.
okay.
We're not monolithic. We're black people aren't monolithic. We all don't think the same, eat the same, need the same thing. So why wouldn't you trust them?
Well, I would say this: anybody who's an enemy to the God that I believe in, then I wouldn't trust them.
You think that come on now? You're saying that you're an enemy to the God that you believe in. What makes you think that your beliefs are the only true belief? That your belief is the only way that you can believe?
I'm not saying that my way is the only way that you can believe, but because this is what I choose to believe in, which is Christ. And
What
then
is salvation? What is salvation? Because as church folks, especially black church people, we take salvation sometimes to extreme. So what is salvation?
So wait a minute, are you trying to say that there's more than one way to heaven? Are you saying that I can get to heaven some other way, not through Christ?
There's only one way to heaven. There's only one way to heaven.
And which way is that?
What is it? You tell me, since you believe that they're evil, that they don't believe in God.
The truth and the light.
Believing in his only one and begotten son that came and died for my sins and was resurrected. So nobody gets to the Father unless they come through the Son. And if you wanted to deny the Son and his total existence,
who said that they did? Who said that they did?
Oh, do you need to check Kamala out, dude?
Then you need to check.
Oh, I have
to check it.
Yeah, everybody, I hate to bail out, but I gotta roll.
Go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I know. Hey, yo,
that's the way you gotta go.
My wife been here an hour. I haven't greeted her properly, and I'm leaving in the morning.
Stay on pause and greet and come back. Listen,
that's not happening.
I know that's right. He said he's leaving in the morning. That means he's got business to
tend to.
You
leaving in the morning?
That's right. He got to go.
I'm going to Los Angeles.
Oh, y'all invite me. That's right. Listen. Before we close,
you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome.
Closing remarks. Let me say this. This is something that we must think. Everything is not racism or prejudice. One thing you all do know, and I can say from the NBA family, that it's a close-knit network. If you were not dating prior to you becoming an NBA player or a lottery pick, chances are you're not going to marry one of the girls from the hood.
Right.
If you're not, you're going to marry in your tax bracket.
Correct.
You're not going to marry. You're not going. If she wasn't with you, she wasn't Cookie Johnson. She wasn't LeBron's wife. You're going to name, and because there's really safety in that.
Right.
Because there's a lot of women and parents that teach their children on how to come up off of a man or athlete. And sometimes we look at it as racism when it's really, it goes back to economics. Have some closing remarks and you got to get out.
I think this was, first of all, an incredible conversation. I think that America is so divided on race that race, it permeates every fabric of our society. It is how the pecking order is chosen, and until we come to that conclusion, we can never fix it. I've traveled the world extensively, and I've been in environments where there was no racism, so I know when I feel it. You know, and I think that the church needs to not be partisan. I think we need to go back to hearing the voice of God and he wants to fix our nation, but he can't fix it without our agreement.
Man, you already got a church, man. You ain't running for office. Good message,
Just
man.
saying.
Good.
Just
Dante,
saying.
any closing remarks?
No, man, I really enjoyed my time. I spent the last hour and almost 2 hours up here working and doing this. So, if I said something off the wall, forgive me. And if somebody got approved for a mortgage, then they shouldn't have to forgive me too.
If they got approval for a mortgage, then they can call me and we could go make sure they
got a
find
realtor
out.
on the phone. She does real estate. You do mortgages. We got something going on. All right. Y'all cash at me for being on the show. All right.
Oh, you ain't cash at you for being on the show.
Wow.
Tangela, any last closing remarks?
No, I like the conversation. I just want to say that I do not believe that racism is big as I don't even believe the issue is racism at all. I just think it is prejudice, a bias that we hold. Because when you remove that, you actually have things in common with people of all races and ethnic backgrounds. I think that because if we share the same prejudice, no matter what color we are, we will click. So it's not a racist thing. And I don't think everybody is racist. I think that sometimes money and different things come into play that we just don't want to discuss.
And I had the privilege to raise with white people as I close. All white people are not bad. They're not devils.
Right.
We have systems that until we change these broken systems, that will never be fixed. But you all do know there's different sectors of white people.
Yes.
There's rednecks, there's hillbillies, there's trailer, all this. There's uppities, there's white Jews. So we just can't say all. It's like it's different type of blacks and that we deem. And I like Southern white people because if they're racist, you'll know they won't bother. A lot of their values are valued. And if they're racist, you'll know they're racist. If they're not, you'll know it. So we all got to come up. And I believe if you go to a Caucasian pastor's church, just ask them the question, are we good enough to count the money and be the trustees or govern the money? If you go to that church, that's your choice. If you marry a white man or black man, just make sure you marry God, man. And I think everything else will be right. So thank you all for tuning in. God bless y'all. Also, man, I'll call you, man. Y'all leaving me, man. Y'all ain't right. But that's all right.
Just meet us out there. Just get on a plane.
All right, peace.
All right, easy.